Some of you have been here a while now and might know that I'm a pretty lazy man. But how on earth can you have a healthy diet that's also easy and convenient? Well, if you live in the US, it is your lucky day because I've got the perfect solution for you. Factor offers you the chance to get fresh, ready-made meals delivered directly to your doorstep. They're never frozen, they're full of high quality ingredients and packed with nutritional value too. It even offers meals for those following different lifestyles and diets. So what are you waiting for? Go and click that lovely link at the top of the description now. You'll get plenty of money off your first order with Factor and some off the few after too. You'd be a fool to miss out on an opportunity like that. Well, I know I've made a certain statement a lot in this historic year at Distillery, but this is definitely the biggest episode of the season so far. We face a very narrow deficit which we've got to overturn at home at Windsor Park, home-ish in the Europa Conference last 16. And then we have got a proper title decider. Results have fallen our way in recent weeks, and if we win this one, we could be right back in it. Yes, hello and welcome along to a massive episode of this FM23 Build a Nation story, Lifting Spirits with me, Daniel. We are back today to bring up the century in proper style. It is episode 100. We've got our first ever European knockout game and we've got a narrow deficit to overturn as we head into the home leg against Sparta Prague before Linfield away, a proper title deciding clash. There are 8 points between us. We have got 3 games in hand. If we win it, it's in our hands. If we lose it, it's in Linfield's. It's as simple as that. We know we've got to play again after the league split, but we've now got rid of a few of those games against Larne, and you know what? We've not done too badly. So if you're looking forward to seeing what's been happening in recent weeks, as we have had one disappointment as well, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. But let's head straight over to the schedule and see what's been going on, because the results have been a mixed bag on paper, but it's actually worked out very well for us. So you were with me as we lost to Linfield in the League Cup final. We then lost 1-0 to Larne in the league, and it was all looking a bit disastrous. And you know what? We've actually lost 2 of our 5 games since and only won 2. So it's maybe not been great. We played Larne away again 5 days later, and crucially, we nicked a draw. And at the 69-minute mark, it seemed to be deja vu. We played okay in the first half, but we gave up our lead late on. We then, in the second half, went 2-1 down in the 69th minute. I threw on some subs and we scored from the kickoff with Morgan Griffiths. Brilliant achievement for him. And that point, followed by Larne's next result where they were awful, really made a difference for us because we're now above them with games in hand, which means the top 2 finish should be done. And it should just be a shootout between us and Linfield and whether we can get close enough. We followed it up with a big 5-0 win, a reserve side against Portadown. McCall-Hatton with a hat-trick, still a great goal scorer at this level. And of course, David Aitken, the young player, really improving off the pitch, still only 18, just turned it as well. He is starting to show signs that he might make it and still got massive potential at this level. So a big win there and some big moments for some of our fringe players. Then it was the big one away at Sparta Prague, a defeat, but we're not out of it yet. The reason we're not is very fortunate because we were played off the park. We had a penalty at half time, which basically just kept us in it. And then with 1 minute to go, at 3-1, it could have been 4 or 5 if it weren't for a couple of defensive moments. Sparta Prague had a man sent off. And after that, we nicked a late 95th minute goal, which has essentially kept us in a tie. At 3-1, 11v11, it was game over. And they arguably were finishing the stronger, so might have scored a 4th. But that red card has changed the tie because it let us get that goal. And now at home, we've got a real opportunity. I say home, at the National Stadium. We did though just 45 hours later in fact, due to the scheduling, have to put out a complete reserve side against Queen's Park in the SPFL semi-final. It is a trophy I desperately want to win one day, but this is not going to be the year. Brian Varma got the goal. They scored a 94th minute winner. We almost got to penalties. We almost did what we managed against Forfar, but it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, we fell out, but it just wasn't possible to compete with the schedule. Until we've got 30 players of the standard of our first 11, which is going to take a few years, we're just not going to be able to compete in all competitions like that. But then we did play a home game against Larne, and we gambled with a first team for the most part. I know we made a few subs later on, we tried to rest some legs, but Maurice Simpson popped up with a crucial goal. As you can see, he has not scored many recently, but he has scored the most important one there, because that win is the one that took us above Larne. It's our first home game in the league against them this year, and we just about pipped them to a victory. So we're 1 point above them with 4 games less played. For me, that's job done, because we've got a few average games that we won't lose. For Linfield, though, they are invincible at the moment. It's not just that they're top, it's not just that they're flying, they are invincible. So beating them is going to be tricky, and we're going away to them in this episode. First, though, we've got some sort of big European game, haven't we? Oh, look at that as well. Larne play Linfield on Monday, so we're not going to have any less rest than them. They're playing on Monday, and then we're playing on Wednesday. I have just had a Brucey bonus at the start of this episode. Let's go and get through to the fixtures. So many tight ties in this Europa Conference. Roma are through. PAOK snuck through against lower opposition. Sturm Graz popped through against Feyenoord. Not many expected that. Werder Bremen beat Ferencvaros. That was expected. Then you look at the evening ties. Getafe AEK is a close one. Looks like Nordsjælland are going through. And Spurs, of course, are the favourites at the minute. But our tie is in the balance thanks to that late red card and goal. Now let's go and see how we get on. Is everyone fit from Monday is the first question. Nearly 3,000 in. Oh God, it's not good. And you know what? A lot of them are going to have to play because we've got another game on Sunday or Monday where we're going to have to rest in the cup tie. I'm going to make a couple of changes where we can, but most of that defence, in fact all of it, is going to have to be fielded. So fitness might be the issue here. So here we go. Basically, I've made the changes that don't affect the quality of the team or where there's ineligible players. So Puarte back in on the right-hand side. He was the only one who got a rest on Monday. Griffiths will come in for Lennon because there's not much between them. The back four's got to play. It's going to be so tricky for us, but we look at the positives. They've got 6 days off before Linfield. Dungannon will have to play the reserves against. We knew that. Glentoran will probably have to do the same. And then we've got 3 games in 5 days the week after as well. So it's absolutely mad. Let's just go and get into it with our starting 11. Neil Kane is back in goal. He had a little knock at the weekend, so wasn't fit. We've got a very fatigued back 4 of Williams, Goss, McKenzie and Reed. We've got a midfield 2 of Daly and Whitehall with Morgan Griffiths in ahead of them. Harry stays on the left, Puarte on the right. Maurice Simpson, the hero in the last game, he is up front. He's back in the goals. We need him to be in form. Let's go and get into it at home to Sparta Prague. I think we pretty much all know how this is going to end, don't we? If they avoid a red card, if they avoid complacency, they are going to beat us. They've only got 6 subs, which they didn't have in the first leg. They had 9 or 10. And they've also got some very good players. So let's go and get through the dressing room. Your favourites for a reason. Make this count. You're not favourites. No, hang on a minute. We are not favourites for this tie. Surely not. We just lost to them and got literally played off the park. I mean literally played off the park. If it weren't for that late red card, we wouldn't even be in this tie. How on earth are we favourites for it? I don't know how you find out why we are. Not a chance. Let's go and get through the first half. We're of course going to get the music in a minute. We're of course enjoying our European adventure. But I don't think it's going to last much longer. It's a very tired team. It's the second best team on the pitch as well. The only benefit we've got is that we know the AI away from home in Europe is very defensive. The problem is if they go 2-0 down and they try and go attacking to come back into it, they've probably got a good enough side to do it. Europa Conference music is out. The pitch is perfectly lined with all of the stuff. The branding's out. The stadium is more full than usual, albeit still empty. It's the only thing really now. Can we increase that reputation? Can we get the attendances up? We'll find out soon. But we're going into the first half. It is a big game in European football. Our first ever knockout tie, and at least we're still in it. We've got Michael Oliver as referee, which is interesting, as with nearly 10 on the clock, they're playing out from the back. We've got to go positive and chase this game. At the moment, it's not leading to anything. Don't forget the media had us as favourites against Maribor, against Karabag, all of those lot. Cluj at home as well. Didn't win any of them. But let's see how we get on this time. As Goss wins the ball back in defence to McKenzie. How long are they going to stay fit for? And you can't afford to make errors like that. Neil Kane spares our blushes. Neil Daly and McKenzie mix up there. And with 10 minutes gone, Sparta Prague look the better team. They've had the best chance for sure. It's still 0-0 here at Windsor Park. And we're back 20 minutes in with Williams on the left-hand side, playing out from the back. But again, we've not really seen us having any attacking territory yet. And that's a bit of a worry with nearly a quarter of the game pass. Daly gets it into Whitehall in the centre circle. Has the option out wide in Puarte, who should be fresh. And he plays out to him eventually. Duarte through to Griffiths, the other new boy in, and his shot's over the bar. Is this the stage of the season? We saw it with the SPFL trophy. We saw it in the last episode in the League Cup final. Is this the stage where we're going to regret not getting those loans in January, not getting those deals over the line? Is this squad going to be too weak now? As Goss heads away, it falls back for the centre forward. Back to Roth, that's a great strike. Kane tips it off the post, Reed clears it away. But we don't really look like we're in this game. Sparta Prague are catching us out on the counter. I'm actually going to drop to balance, but look at the defensive fitness already, it's horrific. Reed is struggling, Mackenzie's struggling, Goss is not far behind them, and I'm sure Williams will join in soon too. If we do concede again and we're out with a tie, I will rest them later on, but I've got to be mindful of the other games coming up. We're playing every 2 days, it's a scandalous schedule. And at the moment we can't compete as Williams finds Daly. Back to Cameron Goss, we're camped in their half here. Williams gives it to Daly, good ball to Parry. He's not had a great run recently, but finds Maurice Simpson. Oh my word, how has that stayed out? Combination of goalkeeper or defender, someone got a leg on it. And it deflects over the bar for a corner, which Duarte will take to the back post. Mackenzie in! It's 1-1. Duncan Mackenzie, he's barely got any legs left to run. But he gets up for a big towering header. And it's 3-3 on aggregate. It's 1-0 on the night. But what on earth do we do from here? Because nobody's fit. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Sparta Prague still the better team by a long way. And they're on the front foot again here. You feel it's a matter of time. And I know we've gone professional this year, but it does still feel like that sort of vibe. It's semi-pro v pro. It's us trying to keep up with them. As the cross comes in, they're straight up the other end. And they've wasted another good chance. But with an hour gone, we're in this tie, and that's all I could ask for. And even if we get a result on the night, whether it's a win or a draw, it does still add to that coefficient, which is big for us. As Junek at the back finds Roth. Good football from Sparta Prague. They're making us run. They're making us move about. And that's going to pay a toll later on in this game. As here they come down the left wing. Gavin Reed's got nothing left. I'll have to take him off. We've gone for the centre-half challenge there. Number 4 it was Goss. And he didn't judge it at all. It feels a matter of time. I feel I've got to make changes. I'm going to freshen up both fullbacks. Curtis Bell and Kean will come on out on the right this time. Just want that extra height in there. I'm also going to go for Harley Jones instead of Goss. Mackenzie will just have a few days rest after this. And I'm going to leave the last 2 for a few more minutes because at the moment we're competing well. I'm going to encourage them, or do I praise them? I don't know whether they judge this on the aggregate score or the overall score in this game on the night. As Griffiths clears the ball downfield. Duarte picks it up. He had time. And he's tried to flick it on there. He needed communication. I'm going to encourage, see if it works or not. Here's Clayser. He's nicked it. Simpson's done really well. Again, we've not got the legs to keep it. And here they come down the left-hand side. I'm not worried about Simpson because Mikkel Hatton can play on Monday night. I'm not worried again about Duarte because of Jaffet and Pardy. But I am worried that Kane has just been forced to make another great save. We're starting to get overrun. The fitness is showing. And we basically have to put in a makeshift defence for this, which is not ideal. Whitehall's knackered in midfield now as well. He will come off for. Can't be Lennon because he's knackered. So I'm going to go Tom Robinson for him. Neil Daly struggling as well. I mean, do I just take them both off? Sean Daniels. We're now at a stage where it's not our strongest team on the pitch, but it is our fittest. And that is the most important thing now. As Daniels gets the ball into the box to the back post. Up goes the defender. Mackenzie nearly got another. He's headed away though. And now on the counter, they've got Roth and we just can't get back. We've held him up well with Curtis Bell here. He's still going to keep the ball. He finds his centre forward. Man over on the left if they find him. Junek will look up. Here he is, Volasak in one-on-one. And there it is. Goal on the night makes it level. And it's 4-3 to Sparta Prague on aggregate. We just haven't got the quality or the legs on the pitch now. And eventually it has been telling. I mean, you look at the stats. It's very similar to the first game. We've been played off the park. And we don't deserve to go through. And I don't know why we've been marked as favourites. Because they're a far better side than us. We've given it our best. And if we look at it. We've reached the European group stages for the first time. And we've made it to the last 16. But now we've got a problem for Monday night as well. Because Mackenzie can barely move. Look at his fitness. And Kean has just picked up an injury in stoppage time. I've got nothing I can do. I can't bring anyone off. It's a heroic effort from the lads. They get the draw on the night. They boost the coefficient yet further for club and nation. But it's not enough. It's a 1-1 draw. We do go out. But at least now the fixtures won't have any more problems. No more congestion to come. apart from the next 2 weeks. Let's go and get ahead to Wednesday night. Linfield away in a title decider. There will not be any of the first 11 featuring from the start or on the bench in the next game against Dungannon. That's a cup tie, we might have to throw it. We'll see if we can sneak through with the reserves, and we'll be back in a minute for Linfield. We are back for a huge game in the Irish Premiership title race, but we might have been done some favours in the meantime, albeit we've had misfortune with injury and off the pitch. So let me go back to last Thursday first, because I think that's where our news starts here. Kian we saw go off in the 90th minute against Sparta Prague in that narrow defeat. He's out for 6 months with a broken leg. There's one player gone for the season. Of course, we had the issues with Mackenzie's fitness. We did manage to squeak together a side for Monday night, and thankfully, we came in on Monday and we managed to get through comfortably. A 4-1 win. Harley Jones brilliant in the air again, albeit he's now picked up a knock. I took him off for 20 minutes to rest him in case we needed him today. He then got injured in training yesterday and just misses out. And that means we've got no sub-centre halves to go with our two that will have to start. We also got goals from Aiken and Varma though, so some positives from that. We also picked up over 500 grand of prize money in the last week. What we had this morning, though, was another bit of bad news. There's the Harley Jones injury. It's the youth intake. It was expected to be awful. Instead, it was just very bad, so maybe it should be viewed positively. But Aaron Dunn is the pick of the bunch. 1-star ability, 3.5 potential. Can't play naturally on the left wing where we would play him. Can't really play left back. He's unambitious. He's not quick. He's not got stamina. He's not a great player, and he won't make it at our level. We know that. So hopefully with all the facilities investments next year, we'll have a better one. But I mean, that was absolutely awful if we're being honest. So nothing to resolve our homegrown problems there. And now we come into tonight's game. Neil came back after a slight fitness issue. Harley Jones, as you can see, not fit and not recommended to play. So let's go and get through to the inbox. Of course, you've got to remember that we have got games on Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we can't just go and chuck in people and hope that they're going to stay fit. We have got to make sure we manage this squad, especially now. We've only really got 7 defenders. How I wish I'd kept Callum Wilson. We go away to a Linfield side that on Monday did us a massive favour. They lost away at Larne, which means Larne are back above us, but only by 2 points, and we've got 5 games in hand. But now we are 8 points behind Linfield with 4 in hand. So even if we lose this, it's still in our hands at the moment. It is a massive result for us. It also means that Linfield's first team have played more recently than ours, so we might end up being the fresher side here. There's big Champions League games which we can't worry about for the next few years. Justin Ferrisage, someone to close down. Mackie is in the lineup. He's of course part of my Northern Ireland squad. But let's go and make the 11 changes recommended and see what team's been picked by our assistant manager. Well, here we go then. It is basically our first 11 -1 because we've got to keep Puarte free as a makeshift defender now, which means he cannot start every game. He played on Monday as a right back. He played about 55 minutes. Once the game was won, we chucked Pardy back there, who is one for tackling, very unconvincing, but does a job. So for now, Puarte will be reserved and Pardy will start the game on the right. Curtis Bell doesn't make it due to fitness. The same applies to Daniels and to Jones, as we mentioned, with his injury. So the 11 today, very similar to the Sparta Prague match, but a little bit fitter. We've kept Griffiths in ahead of Lennon because he's the fitter of the two. Both of them played about 15 minutes on Monday. And then Pardy starts on the right instead of Puarte. He's not eligible for Europe, of course. So let's go and get into it. A big game at Windsor Park. Over 7,000 in for a league game, which is great in Northern Ireland. Now let's go and get back to balanced. A point is a great result for us. We nicked it late last time we went to Windsor Park. I wouldn't mind doing the same again. Don't forget, of course, as we get to the lineup screen, that Linfield have had to make a number of changes. They played on Monday night, and regulars like Martin, who's in my international team, Alan, Stewart, Hancock, all would start regularly. None of them about today. McGuckin in for Kellyman. Bit more of a running behind striker, which might actually be a problem for us. But we are going to drop to balance. We're going to make sure we don't get done in behind. We're going to try and do them on the counter. If we can win this game, I think we might pull off the title. Of course, we've won a trophy already this year in a Shield. Linfield has stopped us winning a League Cup. And we're now out of Europe. We're now out the SPFL trophy. The only chances we've got are the Irish Cup and this. And we have got to win this one if we want to continue our progression. Top 2 is virtually assured though. We're doing all right. Linfield dominate in the early stages and no highlights, which means for me, no problems at all. as we've just seen an awful tackle there from Brady. We only caught the end of it as we were coming back, and it almost silenced me. I didn't know what to say about it. I'll show you it again in a minute. It's a thunderous challenge. The cross comes in, and Goss puts it straight at the keeper. I've got to show you this when we finish the highlight. It was absolutely mind-blowing. Red cards seem to decide these big games so much. We saw it when we were trying to win our first title, didn't we, in Season 9? And we had, was it Archie Whitehall who made the stupid challenge? I think it was him. Then we had one last season in a game that benefited us. And this season, we may have been benefited as well. But this gives us a real chance. And was that onside? I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Maurice Simpson hits the post. We win it back for Whitehall, though. We've got them camped in. And now we have got to take advantage. We cannot lose it now. But Linfield are up the other end. They're trying to push forward into McGuckin. Header's just wide. They've still got a good 10 players out there. Don't be fooled. Let me show you this tackle again in case you didn't see it. Look at this challenge here. And Pardy's first touch flies in with a scissor motion, two-footed. And thankfully, this has given us a great opportunity. If we lose this game now, we've only got ourselves to blame. We're back on the front foot. We're in the positive mindset. And we've got to make it count now. So I'm going to encourage the boys, get them positive, get their mind fixed. They've had a couple of tough weeks. It's been draining. But Sean McAllister has scored some magical goals against us. Thankfully, that free kick is not going to be one of them. Comfortably wide, it's still 0-0. Linfield still having a bit in this game. I'm not 100% confident yet, as much as I would like us to get the opening goal. We've not really offered a lot since the red. If it peters out to a draw, though, I know it's bad against 10 men, but I wouldn't be that upset about it. We're dominating the ball, we're forcing them to move, and that might benefit us. We've got another league game in 2 days against Glentoran. We're going to have to play a reserve side there. The reason I want to get ahead, really, is if we can then rest a couple of the defenders, but it doesn't look like it. I don't mind rotating the rest of the team, but we are really struggling back there. So I'm going to have to take a bit of a gamble. Puarte will come on at right back. Goss will come off soon, but not just yet. And then the nervous ones can go. So Maurice Simpson, you can be replaced by Lafferty. I know he's nervous as well. Lennon will come on for Morgan Griffiths. Jaffet and Pardy will be replaced by Muckle Hatton. And I'm going to go for Tom Robinson in place of Neil Daly. We have got 20 minutes to go. We're bringing fresh legs on against a tired team with 10, and we need to make it count. Oh, Kellyman nearly scores with one there. I'm trying to encourage these lads. I don't know what they're nervous about. You've got the extra man. You've got the extra fitness. Just keep the ball and play your game. In the end, it looks like it's going to be a pretty dull 0-0. I'm not going to complain about that at all. But Friday night's going to be a challenge now because we've not been able to rest people. Yes, we've not exerted as much energy against 10 men. But it shows just how competitive Linfield are. They lost their unbeaten record on Monday. They've kept it back tonight. But we're doing okay. A lot of nerves in the club, which is a worry. Fingers crossed, we're back in charge. 8 points behind with 4 games in hand. The first of them, though, in less than 48 hours. And the scheduling might be a problem. Well, a frustrating episode to an extent. But in the grand scheme of things, they're probably 2 good results. We couldn't expect to get through against Sparta Prague, but we added a bit to the coefficient. Linfield away, I know the early red card changed the dynamic, but I would have snapped your hand off for that 0-0 at the start. We're through in the cup with the reserves. We're going to have to be really careful the next week. But I'm looking at those 4 games and thinking, if we get 9 or 10 points, if it's still in our hands after it, we can probably afford one slip up. Of course, after the league split, we'll have Larne and Linfield again. I don't really want it to come to that, but we'll be playing once a week then, which will be easier. We've got a friendlier draw in the Irish Cup semi against Ballymena. The winner will play probably Linfield in the final. But either way, we are making progress and there is still a chance at a domestic treble. What a season in Europe. We'll see what it did to the coefficient at the end. Let me know if you think we'll win it. There's the table on the screen now. And do you think we can win the Irish Cup as well? Hopefully Glentoran beat Linfield and make it easier for us. If you want to stay up to date with the rest of the save, then do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. If you enjoyed it, please do add a thumbs up on the video. But in the meantime, we'll be back with the head coach tomorrow. A big focus on international management there. You guys have been making my decisions over the last week. And it's meant some very big changes and some unique moments in that save. You can check out that latest decision up in the eye above. You can also find the Twitch channel, the football podcast and the blog story as well. But thank you very much for watching. Your support as always is appreciated. And I'll see you back here next time for more big action with Distillery.